Coming to you from the Radio for One studios in Franklin, Michigan. Welcome to the Detroit Cast.
Big fan.
A show not just free of charge, but free of FCC regulations.
Thank you for your support of the Detroit Cast.
Oh, there it is.
And without further delay, it's showtime. Please welcome the Detroit Cast. Here are your hosts, Mike and Jay.
All I want to do when I wake up in the morning is see your eyes. Rosanna. God, I love that song.
It's great, isn't it?
Welcome to the Detroit Cast. Mike and Jay. Shalom, Biggie. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Mike.
How are you, my friend?
Very well. You?
Good. I've got Rosanna from Toto stuck in my head. It's not a bad song to get stuck in your head.
Pretty random, man.
That shuffle that drummer does. We got a new book in that we're supposed to read. Got all this reading homework.
Yeah.
And it's by one of the guys in Toto. Can you name a single member of Toto?
Honestly, no, I can't.
I can't either. That's pretty sad.
We'll take a look at her.
We were talking about how Rosanna, like, written about Rosanna Arquette. That's not a wives' tale. That's true, right? That's written about Rosanna. I mean, like, of all the, like, the hot chicks you could get in Hollywood, Rosanna Arquette. All right, whatever.
Mike, before we get to it, we have a couple matters of housekeeping I'd like to address.
All right.
Twin Peaks car washes. I think
Yes.
we've announced those the last few weeks, but they are doing every Tuesday, 5 to 8 p.m., Madison Heights location, which is 14 Mile and Stevenson Highway. They're doing car washes. Bikini-clad ladies.
I love it.
Ladies.
I love it.
Take your cars up there, get them washed. 100% of the proceeds benefit South Oakland Shelter, which, of course, is a
Excellent.
charity that we've helped out in the past. Easus has done some heavy lifting there. I think we've raised over $60,000 for that.
That's a
for
fact.
That joint. Isn't that right?
That is a fact. More than FEMA.
Yeah.
I love that part.
I know.
More than FEMA.
I know. So get out there.
When he told us, he was like, you guys realize you've given us more money from your basement than FEMA has from the government. It's like, yeah, boy. That's crazy.
Twin Peaks, 14 Mile, Stevenson. Also, get on your calendars, everybody. September 29th at Hamlin Pub, 22 Mile and Hayes. We'll be out there. We'd love to see you out there.
Yes.
So save the date, as they say.
Yep. I don't, my policy on RSVPing, respond soon, very pleased.
Plan to
thank
go
you.
unless something better comes up.
And if something better comes, that stands, even for this date. If something better for me comes up, I might not be there.
Okay.
I just don't know. But
And
we
then-
want you to RSVP, everyone else.
Then the final matter of housekeeping. We've installed annual membership levels on our members area. So if you go to DetroitCast.com, over on the members area tab, you'll see an annual membership level. If you go for the annual membership, you're getting free My Pillows.
Yes, Michael Lindell.
Dude, these things are $60 to $75 each, right?
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
So
And they're worth it, too. They're great.
yeah.
They really are.
So we will send you free My Pillow if you're a Stan Berta member. If you're a Nana or a Champion, you get 2 free My Pillows. So check that out.
Yeah.
And then I lied. There's one other thing under the Help the Show tab. Books, our bookstore, check that out, as well as our merchandise too. So
Please do, and we'll have a new interview in there because we're going to talk to Jeff Ryan today. He's got a new book out called A Mouse Divided, not a house divided, a mouse divided. How Oob Iwerks became forgotten and Walt Disney became Uncle Walt.
Uncle Walt.
Have you ever heard the name Oob Iwerks before?
Not before this book, I hadn't, Mike.
Me either. So we'll get to him coming up shortly. In the news today, a lot of stuff. I find it very hard to feel sorry for anybody that involves Omarosa in their world, and then it comes to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, really.
I mean, honestly, it's just like, yeah, well,
Such a weird character.
what did you expect? Like, what kind of idiot goes into the fucking White House and tapes the president or the, Secretary
Chief of
of State,
Staff.
Chief of Staff? Yeah, it's like, dude. But yeah, it's Omarosa. We watched her on TV. Like, I'm not even kidding, Jay. When I watched her performance originally on The Apprentice, I was like, I hate this woman more than I've ever hated anyone. She was so fucking hateable. I mean, just
That's what made her
nasty.
a star, man. That's what made her a star.
But she was just awful. And so she's revealed, of course, she's spilling. She's got a new book coming out. And, she taped when the Chief of Staff fired her, John Kelly, in December of 2017, I guess that was. And she's, doing the rounds, promoting her book, Unhinged. Do we have that book coming, E?
Should be, yeah.
It really doesn't prove anything, this recording of John Kelly firing her, other than
No.
she was, in fact, fired.
Yes. Yeah. And what was it for? Like,
I think he said there were some major violations of ethics rules
Right.
or something like that. I reading between the lines, there was something about use of cars or government cars.
She also apparently is saying, well, not apparently, she's saying now that she's heard the tape of him saying the N-word. Ooh.
which is contrary to what she said in her book. So, I don't know.
Well, she claims that once it went to post, it was sent to publishing, then I heard the tapes. She says there's multiple tapes that exist, and those recordings, while they haven't been made public yet,
you don't
they
think
will
that's a
be.
big deal? You go,
Oh,
ooh.
yeah, no, I
mean, dude.
I do think it's
the
a big deal.
president saying the N-word?
The problem is we've been hearing about these tapes' existence since 2016. What's the fucking holdup? Like, if they exist, who's holding them back, and why wouldn't you put them out? Because
Can
she's
we
like,
hear those tapes, and can we hear from Corey Feldman, who raped everybody in Hollywood? Just those two
yeah,
things.
those
two things.
would be huge.
Too much to ask?
It's not too much to ask. She released a 22-second audio clip Monday. Shows Trump knew nothing about the dismissal, which is hilarious. Omarosa, what's going on? What is this? I just saw on the news that you're thinking of leaving the White House. What happened? And she's like, yeah, General Kelly came to me and said that you guys wanted me to leave. No, wait, nobody told me about this. Wow. You know, they run a big operation here. This is the first time hearing about it. And she's like, it's further proof that he's got no control over his own White House, and John Kelly is running the White House. And other people are going, yeah, he's way more important than to just worry about Omarosa and what's going on with her.
Man. It's further proof she just had a bullshit position.
Exactly. So, anyway, yeah, but I find it hard to feel sorry for her. I was like, dude, that single hire alone, I was like, what are you thinking? The whole country watched this. Honestly, we know what Omarosa's about. It doesn't surprise me that she's writing a tell-all book. It doesn't surprise me that she's talking shit. It doesn't surprise me she's secretly recording people at all.
Yeah, no, me either. But, he was clamoring for any support from diverse people who would support him. So, and she was one who would, speak outwardly about how inclusive he was and how he loved black people and all that. So it helped him at the time. Hey, does your money work as hard as you do? You will spend upwards of 45 years working to support your lifestyle, provide for your family, and set aside money for your retirement. Do you know if you'll be able to retire on your terms? How could you know if you don't have a plan? Well, let Mark Leibovitz at LPL Financial help to make sure your money is working as hard as you are. Call Mark today. He's our buddy. He'll help you out. 248-626-2000. Ask for Mark.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Well putty. Did you see Aretha Franklin?
Yeah.
The Queen of Soul.
Gravely ill.
That's not a good word.
No.
Like, we've all been ill, right? You've been ill.
You've probably been gravely ill, if we're honest.
Yeah, but I don't even think it was to the point where people said I was gravely ill.
Mm-hmm.
But gravely ill, you don't want gravely before ill. That's
You don't want to be put in hospice, and you don't want to be labeled gravely ill.
Yeah, no, you don't. But she is apparently gravely ill, and she's surrounded by family at a Detroit area hospital. They're asking for prayers and privacy at this point. Yeah, it was. You know who broke this? NBC Philadelphia anchor, investigative reporter, Harry Hairston.
No shit.
Yeah. Good old Harry. I'm like, dude, I think of Harry. Where they at? I mean, pulling up on his Harley after the 10 o'clock news on UPN 50 when I was working at Roosevelt's as a kid.
Oh, that's who you're always talking about?
Yeah, Harry Hairston. He would walk in and go, where they at? I'd be like, back in the 800 section, man, there's a whole block. He was wondering where the white bitches was at. Where the white bitches at? But his words were just where they at.
At least that's how you interpreted it.
No, because I'd send him back there, and he'd get, and there's Harry. Smooth dude, man. Fun dude. He'd come in all the time. And so he shared that he spoke to a friend of Aretha Franklin's who said that the iconic singer is not doing well. She's had cancer for a while. I think a bunch of family members died of cancer, too. And she's battled alcoholism. She was also a chain smoker. Struggled a bit with weight issues.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd say
just
that.
Really?
just a touch here and there.
It's news to me.
Yeah, and paying bills.
Yes,
another thing
that too.
That Queen struggled with.
Well, we'll all remember fondly that Thanksgiving Day NFL NTL game that she played.
Dude,
Was it Lions Vikings? I believe a couple years ago.
is that what? I think it was last year. Wasn't it last year she did the anthem? And
I think
it
it
was.
was 2 years.
I think it lasted longer than the game. I think it was a 3-hour national anthem. And she's noted that I'll never forget. I was watching her do a performance on one of those award shows or something. It was her and like Christina Aguilera and someone else who's got a big voice.
Look her. Is that Chinchilla?
It's Chinchilla.
It's got to be Chinchilla.
Goddamn right.
How many
Indoors.
chinchillas had to die for that coat to be produced?
All of them?
Like 300?
Or the remaining chinchillas on the planet. Why are we wearing the knit cap inside,
Because
too?
she's probably fucking bald in reality.
Can you play just a minute of it, E? And dude, the tweeting that was going on during...
She was trending, to say the least.
Yeah.
Can you see?
I hate the sleeves.
Bradford at this point is like, are you fucking kidding me?
At this point, they already know. Settle in, folks. This is going to be a while. This is going to be a while.
I might have kneeled for this national anthem, but
E, I wouldn't blame you.
Out of fatigue.
right,
Out of
just
fatigue, yeah. It
fatigue.
has nothing to do with disrespect
No.
or police
I would
brutality.
come
or
out
anything
after
else.
and say, I fucking love America, but
Yeah.
oh boy.
I have nothing but respect for our military and law enforcement folks, but jeez.
I wouldn't
it's
have been
exhausting.
surprised if the public address announcer got on and said, everybody feel free. Feel free
Yeah,
to take
take
a
a
knee
knee
or
if you'd
take,
like.
take a quick seat if you need to.
Weren't people laughing? Weren't there players like laughing? I
At
mean,
one point, I think it gets.
some were crying, but some were like, "This is absurd."
What was that, 2 years ago? That's brutal.
When was it? E? Can you see a date there?
16, it says.
16.
It was published on the 16th. That seems about right, though.
This guy's standing at attention. How long is it?
4 minutes and 15 seconds is the video, anyway. She's still going. Oh, that guy falling asleep.
No, he was just deep in thought.
Oh, okay. In respect to the country.
Yeah.
Look at that chinchilla.
It's how do you
I'm
play
kinda
with
just-
that? How do you play with that cumbersome chinchilla jacket on your back?
It slows you down, but
You would
you
think.
get it done.
Well, it clearly slowed her down. Anyways, gravely ill. Her last public performance was at the Mann Center in Philly in August 2017, and her last performance was November 2nd of 2017 for the Elton John AIDS Foundation in New York. And she already said, like, look, bitches, I am not playing live no more. She's going to be recording.
AIDS? Just by the way, when I look up national anthem, like there's ones here that's like 2 minutes and 49 seconds. You know
Which
what I
is
mean?
what, over 4 minutes?
4:15.
Yeah.
4 minutes and 15 seconds.
Hilarious. Oh, I'm glad, though, that she did it.
She graced us with another minute 15.
Sure. Did you know she was the first woman ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
No.
I didn't know that either. Probably because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wasn't built until, what, 89 or whatever it was. So, or 87. And she topped the Rolling Stone magazine's greatest artists of all time list. Of all time. Do you think of her like R-E-S-P-E-C-T?
No, sorry.
Yeah, I don't either. But she 20 Grammys. That's nothing. That's no bullshit.
Nothing to scoff at.
Absolutely not.
Neither is insurance, Mike. We all need it. Most of us don't even know what kind of coverage we have or who provides it, however.
No, I don't.
Well, let fellow TDC listener Brent Wasick from Wasick Insurance Services change all that. He has over 30 years in the business. He offers all types of insurance coverage: auto, home, health, life, business, commercial, and more. Call Brent Wasick at 734-455-1900 and get a free, no-obligation quote today. Again, that's 734-455-1900.
The guy that hijacked that plane was
Yeah.
it Dick Russell?
Beto.
Bebo or Beto?
Bebo, yeah.
Yeah. They've gotten now aerial pictures of that scene, and they said the plane is
Smithereens.
smithereens. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the word I'm seeing most used is smithereens. They said hundreds of parts. And I'm like,
Hundreds.
I'm thinking like millions. Like, if you take a plane and nosedive it into an island, that's going to produce millions of smithereeny
I would
parts.
think.
Yeah. Anyway, they also found Richard, found his body. He was the guy that was board baggage handler. They call him the board baggage handler. I was bored.
Or as Jordan says, the air pirate.
Yeah, I like that. No one else was injured or killed except him. He was married. His remains were recovered from the crash site along with the plane's flight data recorder and the voice recorder. The plane shattered into hundreds of pieces, Jay.
Okay.
Ketron Island is where that happened, in the Puget Sound. Small, 221 acres, and located in the southern part of Puget Sound. The island is privately owned and can only be reached by ferry.
Yeah.
I would say he proved that's not necessarily true, that it can only be reached by ferry. Don't you think that's fair? Like, no, wait a minute. Why would you write that? He just proved that you can reach that island by plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Island's population, 17.
Is that right?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool to live on an
Was
island
there
like
the,
that? With,
the ferryman and his brood? I mean,
I don't know, man.
And why would you go? Why would you go there if there's only 17 people? Is it just a big park? Like
Well,
Belle
it's
Isle or
privately
something?
owned, so it's probably just some uber rich family
Yeah.
that goes there for the summer.
Gotcha.
You know. Yeah.
Hey man, did you see the guy who invoked the stand your ground defense most recently in Florida? That video we watched.
The guy in the party store.
He's charged.
Yeah. No shock there.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be.
Michael Drecka charged
Yeah.
with manslaughter.
Really?
So we'll see.
So that's the one where he starts arguing with a woman in the car because she's parked in a handicap spot.
Correct. And
And
then
this
the
just
boyfriend
chapped
comes
his
out.
ass.
He's pissed. Boyfriend pushes the guy. Guy falls down. Guy who falls down draws his weapon and immediately shoots.
Yeah. Killed him in front of
And
his
the
5-year-old son.
Sheriff
and his
initially
girl.
says, well, this fits directly within the stand your ground law, so we're not going to charge him.
Well, the way he worded it was very specific. He was like, "Look, listen, I can't by law arrest him because it fits into the category of stand your ground laws. And so if I were to arrest him, I don't know how he felt in the moment. So I can't charge
So anybody
him
can shoot anybody if they,
if they felt
want in
fear for
Florida.
their life. They just have to say, I feared for my life.
Yeah.
And so legally, if I were to charge him, he could sue us. So if the district attorney wants to do something different, and that's what it was like, oh, okay, I get it. The district attorney is going to...
You know how hard it is to sue a government official who's working within the bounds of his duties. It's not. That was so stupid.
He did
How
say
the
that, though.
So what? This sheriff is a moron. Moreover, he doesn't charge people. He investigates, and then
He
fucking
said
prosecutors
arresting him,
charge.
though. Even arresting him would be
Dude,
illegal on his part.
It's not a. You cannot sue a government official for anything other than really, really, really gross negligence
Yeah.
in execution of their duties. So it was a stupid story to start with, and this guy should be charged.
Yeah.
And let jury of his peers decide.
I don't know. That cop, he seemed pretty sure of himself that I can't do this. By law, I can't. I'll pass it off to the district attorney, but this, I can't by law. I'll be sued. It sounded ridiculous when I heard it, but that's what he said. I mean, that was honestly what he said. One guy, did you see that video of the Baltimore cop?
Yeah, man.
What, you don't have any ID, you son of a bitch? And then
Dude,
like
this is
went after
really
that guy.
troubling.
Yeah. That guy has resigned now, the cop. That's the news today. He's a Baltimore cop. We can watch the video. Do you have the video there, E? It sounds like these two had an altercation earlier.
Okay.
At another time. And so the reason this isn't getting as much love from the press is probably because it's a black cop. And the
That's
guy,
the cynical response to that, Mike, but I think you're probably right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So anyway, let's see. Let's ask for some ID here.
He's just Rocky Balboa in him,
Yeah,
dude.
there's a knee in there.
Dude's not even fighting back whatsoever. Cop's probably thrown 10 punches, right?
Yeah, at least. Guy's not fighting back. You're right.
He never did.
I like the guy with the broomstick.
I
there.
know. It's a colorful broom.
He never did fight back, did he?
No, hell
not,
no.
Not in the slightest. Dude just pummeled
Is
him.
that him bleeding? Is that blood on
Wow,
the sidewalk
it
there?
does look like it, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It's not. Sure looks like it.
So the guy wouldn't give him his ID. That's the story. So he gets suspended without pay. The shit goes viral, and then he's like, "Oh man, all right, I'm out. This whole suspended without pay." The guy that was getting hit was Deshaun McGreer, outside a bar in Baltimore. He was so this guy was suspended without pay. He handed in his resignation. The second officer is now on desk duty. The guy that started to almost break it up a little bit,
Yeah.
but then he turned his attention to the crowd.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, back off, everybody, back up. The officer reportedly had a history with McGreer. A prior run-in in June ended with the officer charging McGreer with assaulting an officer, disorderly conduct, obstructing and hindering and resisting. His attorney, Warren Brown, said to the Baltimore Sun. The incident began when the two officers encountered McGreer on the sidewalk. After releasing him, the two officers approached him again and gave him a citizen contact sheet. So that's basically something that just says, hey, we stopped you. We had a conversation with you. We just want it documented, that we had a meeting. We didn't arrest you or anything like that, but here it is. Here's the piece of paper. And he's like, fuck off. I don't want your piece of paper. And he won't take it. And they're like, oh, really? Give me your ID, son. He's like, go fuck yourself. I'm not giving you my ID. And then haymakers abound. Yeah. You think he should have been fired for that?
Yeah, I do. You're using some poetic license by saying the guy said "go fuck yourself." I
Yeah,
don't know that
yeah,
we know
yes.
that.
I
I don't know that he
didn't put
said
quotes.
anything other than "I'm not going to give you my ID."
Yeah, I didn't put quotes in.
Yeah.
I was totally taking poetic license. So the officer pushes him against the wall. McGreer pushes his arm away. That's when the officer's like, he touched me. It gives me license to just go to town on him, beat his ass. Yeah, so.
Yeah, remove the threat. Take him down to Chinatown. Fucking kill the guy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
know. It's just, isn't it just, it's awful. It's like, dude, come on. You have to know, if you're an inner city cop especially, everybody standing around, the first thing you hear is a guy off camera going, I got the whole thing, man. I got the whole thing. What he means by that is, I'm filming the entire account. Like, that's what's going, like, how do you not
You do hear
know?
"World Star" in the background,
Yeah,
right? You hear him
sure.
yelling that shit. You know you're on film at that
Dude.
point. You got to stand down.
Assume if there's 20 people there, 19 of them are filming. You're beating number 20 while the other 19 film it and go, oh, man, leave him alone. He ain't do nothing.
Yeah.
He ain't do shit.
Yeah.
He ain't do shit. And even if he do shit, you don't want to be on camera beating the shit out of him.
No.
Come on, guys. What did you see more people shot in Chicago over the weekend? 28 more people.
My God,
2
man.
dead. Yeah.
It just becomes white noise after a while. You know, you can't even like get your arms around the notion. Like, wasn't like 2 weekends ago? Wasn't it something like 70 or 90 people?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're setting
and
records.
nobody arrested for any
None.
of them.
None.
It's just
Think about that.
What?
Think about your neighborhood or the neighborhood you're in right now. If someone shot someone and nobody's arrested,
Is it all?
that would never fucking happen.
Yeah.
Never.
Is it all like South Side stuff? I mean, is it bleeding into like?
it's not on the Miracle Mile.
Yeah, I was just wondering if where it all.
No, I don't know, but I'm guessing probably
Okay.
it is. You know,
Yeah.
people who quote don't matter as much.
They've added 600 police officers to patrol the streets after 74 people were shot, 12 killed last weekend.
So has Rahm Emanuel got this shit or what?
Apparently, yeah. Why is he not getting more shit for this? By the way,
He's
when-
Rahm Emanuel.
dude, you cannot have this behavior continue because
It's been years. It's been years.
It's been years,
and he's been in charge for years.
I know. And to E's point, you know, it's in one area, it's in a couple isolated areas of gang violence and stuff. But the problem is, you know, you've got Dylan Zavala. I'm sure you guys don't know him. Found dead with a gunshot wound to the head. These are innocent people. And what they're dealing with is there's large crowds. It's summer. People are barbecuing. There's parties. And these gang members are just going up and just
Wow.
spraying randomly. And so they're hitting innocent people, 12-year-olds, 5-year-olds. And it's like, how long is this behavior going to be accepted? And, you know, you always hear about, New York canceled stop and frisk because it was targeting inner city youth and black males, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter, as we've been told, right?
Right. But
Unless you're in Chicago.
the reason that rule, that stop and frisk was put into action was because Rudy Giuliani went, fuck this, man. We are not going to have the streets run by these fucking animals. So we're just going to be stopping people. And they cleaned all that shit up. Now, you can look back at it now and go, oh, they targeted, inner city black youth, blah, blah, blah. It was unfair. They weren't all guilty of shit. He's like, yeah, well, people were dying all over the streets because of these guys.
But you don't get
And so-
arrested on stop and frisk, right? It's just, hey, do you have guns on you right now? Or I don't know how it works. Maybe
If you're up to no good, you do.
Yeah, if you're pulling shenanigans, I mean, you can expect to be arrested. But that's why New York is as safe as it is right now, because of actions like that. So Rahm Emanuel has to do something at some point. You can't just have this continue where Chicago's an amazing city. It really is. And it's in the headlines every
for the
weekend. It's
second
like,
city. I mean, I guess, yeah.
What's that?
It's the second city, though.
well,
I mean, not first.
yeah. But it's an amazing city,
No,
nonetheless.
I know. I'm sorry.
And it's just like, dude, these headlines are not good coming out of these cities. To be like, just have these.
It's really gotten to the point, though, where it's just like white noise. Yeah, Chicago, a bunch of people died. Right.
Yeah.
Got it. I mean, when's it going to change?
Actual humans live there
It's
with that are
Dude,
living
humans don't care about
lives and-
anything, dude. We don't care about the fact
I
that
know.
million people in California, the state of California is on fire, and we just sit here and kind of go, "Oh man,
Sucks to be them.
And then what
Man,
am I doing
Glad
later
my
tonight?
area's not all on fire. And
What's
stuff.
on Netflix tonight?"
Yeah.
You know what humans should care about, guys?
What?
Zott Ford's summer sales event.
I agree.
It means the hottest
Nice
sales
Sagui.
and lowest payments of the summer. Lease a new 18 Ford Escape as low as $133 a month, or lease a new 18 Ford F-150 4x4, and that's a super cab, as low as $161 a month. Finally, lease a new 18 Ford Explorer as low as $177 a month. Zott Ford's sensational summer sales event ends August 31st, and so do all of the ludicrously low payments. Ready? See details
Exactly.
at dealsinthed.com.
Hey, you guys know that I'm supposed to fly to New York in a couple days.
Heard that.
Yeah. Thinking about canceling my trip.
Why, Mike?
Well,
Why would you do that? You
well,
nervous?
That plus these damn TSA agents. It
Oh,
sounds
you're
like
not going
they're
to be able to take any contraband?
Well, no, it's not that. It's that they're groping genitals again. They're grabbing dongs and stuff. And
What's
it's
wrong
like,
with that?
Well, I don't know, but
Get your dong grabbed.
this guy from New York, he's suing the TSA now, claiming an agent groped his penis in front of his 2 young daughters.
That's just the dumbest word ever.
It is. That's why I said it.
Penis.
I was going to say panus, but the fact that he's suing because they grabbed his penis.
Grabbed my penis.
My
I,
penis.
I would rather him say my genitalia, which is a close second for stupidest word on the planet.
Yeah, I would agree. Mark Frey, 61 years old. He's got a metal prosthetic in his neck. Requested a private search. So okay, got to go through this. I requested a private search, and they were like,
Oh, sweet.
"Yeah, go fuck yourself."
Like
No.
giving a lap dance or something? I mean, what's this? do?
Yeah,
Like
they
he's-
take you in the back.
Yeah.
And, kick the music on. And
Well, what's he expect, man? You get a little penis groping. That's
Well,
what you're paying for, man.
he was denied. They wouldn't take him back there. Security agent had him lift his shirt up to his head, then put his hands down his shorts and manipulated his todger a bit. And he says roughly touched his penis.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's his words, not mine. Roughly touched. The agent touched him for so long. Mr. Frey's daughters, one of them who was just 8, yelled out, "Look, they're touching Daddy's penis!"
Oh no!
Yeah. Look, they're touching Daddy's penis.
Oh, this is gonna be seared in her memory.
Yeah.
Remember the time we went to the airport and they touched Daddy's penis?
His
Do
daughter
you know what a
wasn't
penis
the
is
only
at
one that
8?
noticed.
I don't know. It
Yeah,
just,
it's
okay.
the parent. I mean, I call it the dude, but
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
In our household, it was,
How
hey man, wash your butt and dude, okay?
Yeah. How funny would it be if she was like, "Look, they're touching Daddy's dude."
Yeah.
But he taught her penis, so whatever.
Boys, take a shower. Make sure you wash your butt and dude. That was a common phrase.
So he was pleading for supervisor's help during this, rough manipulation of his todger.
Did he have dry, calloused hands? What's the complaint here?
I don't know. What he did say though, what would you say? Okay, like you've got your daughters here, young.
yeah. I
and-
might start with something like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
See, that's what I think I would do. Whoa, dude.
Right?
Whoa. What he's saying now is
Harder, faster?
they took my child's innocence.
Oh God.
These untrained TSA people have got to stop. They're ruining childhoods. Do you think it?
They raped his daughter's eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's kind of. I mean, sure. Put it in your complaint, dude. Absolutely. If you're gonna write
Just
up a
throw on anything,
complaint,
hope
put
it
it in there.
sticks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
They took my child's innocence. Like if I was on the jury,
you know,
I'd
how
go,
do you
"Oh,
put a
oh,
price on
dude."
that, Mike? How do you put a price
I go,
on
"You
a
know
child's
what?"
innocence?
Possibly $20 million.
It's got to be.
I would not cut him that check. I would go, dude, I was on your side. That sucks, but they took my child's innocence with everything in the world that your child is going to see. A little panoozle manipulation is not going to destroy
What do they
her
take
innocence.
the penis out of the pants and
Wave it about.
wave it around in the hand or
They
something?
didn't put it in your child's hand, did they? They didn't
No.
grab your child.
Now, if the TSA agent took his panoose and put it in his mouth, then I would say, yeah, that's over. We've crossed the line now.
That would be a bright line for me.
Yeah, in front of your children, you don't want to see a TSA agent put Mr. Frey's penis in the TSA agent's mouth. Now, if he had done that, I'm all on board. I'm cutting him a check if I'm on that jury. I really am. The other thing that I'm taking issue with is when I was reading about this, and it's like, oh, he's got 2 young daughters. Wait, he's 61.
Mick Jagger in it, you know?
Yeah, 53 when he had.
I know. I wouldn't do it, but see these guys doing it, man.
I feel like I am so way too old already. You know what I mean? And I'm not close to 53 at this point. Closer than he is, and you are, but not
Way
quite
closer.
there yet. Yeah, not way from.
Why would you want a kid at that age? That's what
crazy.
honestly, I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't understand why at 53
Can
you would be with somebody and be like, yes, let's take this other life. Let's, be responsible for something. Like, why? Travel the world, my man.
It's almost irresponsible too, because you know you're going to be gone, right? Like,
Right.
let's say 80 is, you're
Fair enough.
gone, or you're really, really on the way
Death's
out.
door. Yeah.
Yeah, this
And
kid's
your
got
kid's going to be, 20 years old or whatever.
dealing with her
and
high
taking
school
care of you.
graduation, possibly, and dealing with
Right.
a.
Let alone walking you down the aisle. That whole thing. Like, is it possible to sufficiently care for a child at 50? No offense to people who've had a child older in life, but I
It's
just
probably
like,
way
now,
more responsible, honestly, if you just look dollars and cents on paper. It probably
Well, yeah,
is
nah.
the time where you're most able to care for a kid.
Yeah, but dude, they run around a lot. They get their hands in everything too. Like I learned this with Little Stinks when she was here. Like, you really got to keep an eye on them. They will go anywhere and do anything, and they'll get into shit like you can't believe, Jay. That you can't believe. You got to keep an eye on them. You really do. And at 53, I'd be like, lounging on the couch guy, like just let him run roughshod. That's how I'd be.
Well, he must have a way younger wife, because nobody above
Probably.
40, 45 is
Yeah.
cranking out a kid.
Fair enough. You ready to talk Mickey Mouse?
Sure.
Were you a big fan of Mickey Mouse growing up, Jay? Were you one of those guys? Mouseketeer? Were you a Mouseketeer?
Really, dude? I mean, if we're talking cartoons, as you know, Pepe Le Pew is the pinnacle for me.
Sure.
But
Rapist, but whatever.
Disney is different because it really wasn't on TV. You could throw Looney Tunes on or Hanna-Barbera cartoons
Yeah.
and stuff, but Disney was kind of like this iconic thing that, like, they had the Sunday night Disney movie, the Wonderful World of Disney or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
So
Mickey
we
Mouse?
grew
No,
up
not
with
really.
the park. Like Disney World was somewhere you wanted to go, but that's so true. Like, I don't remember. Like, I can
There
absolutely.
wasn't a series. There wasn't like a Mickey Mouse series.
No, not that I remember. Like, I remember Looney Tunes. That's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other cartoons, Smurfs and whatever else we watched.
But still, though,
Mickey.
if you could get a glimpse of like a Mickey short or like a Donald Duck or something like that on that Sunday night
Yeah.
program that I just mentioned, like, that was awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, the book is called The Mouse Divided, and it's about Walt Disney as he's creating the mouse with an artist friend of his named Oob Iwerks. And so Jeff Ryan is the author of the book. We found it interesting, so why don't we give him a buzz?
Who's the leader of the pack that's great for you and me? M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-E. Hey, they're high, they're home, they're built as welcome as can be. M-I-C-K-E-Y.
Hello, Jeff Ryan.
Hey, Jeff Ryan. It's Mike and Jay with the Detroit Cast. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Jeff.
Good. How are you doing, guys?
Very well.
We are doing good. Thank you for joining us today. We've enjoyed your book, A Mouse Divided, How Oob Iwerks Became Forgotten and Walt Disney Became Uncle Walt. Disney fans are absolutely going to love this book. How's it doing so far?
It's doing pretty well. There's an Audible version where you can hear someone read it to you if you're not a fan of reading itself. If you're more a fan of listening to interesting people talk, like you guys.
Yeah, sure. Were you always a fan of Disney? Is that what attracted you to take on this project?
No, I was the opposite. We never went to Disney World growing up or Disneyland. There was 4 kids, so we're not all going to go drive down there, and it's too expensive to fly down. So I didn't see that. Never really watched any Mickey Mouse cartoons, but everyone knows Mickey Mouse is like, the number one fictional character in the world. He's everyone's favorite. But I had never seen any cartoons of this guy, really. And most people I talked to felt the same way. Like, okay, just of you guys, have you seen more than 10 minutes of a Mickey Mouse cartoon?
No. We were just talking about that
Yeah.
before we came on the air. It's
Gross.
crazy that this guy is so ingrained in our culture, this mouse, and we see design elements of him everywhere, yet most people, know of Steamboat Willie, Sorcerer's Apprentice, maybe. Why is that?
And that's it,
Why
exactly.
has this mouse, of all characters, this guy become so iconic?
Well, the reason why he's so iconic is because they stopped making Mickey Mouse cartoons around 1941 or so, but they didn't stop marketing the Mickey Mouse merchandise. And they were going to make more Mickey cartoons if the merchandise sales dipped, but the sales stayed steady. In fact, they started to rise a little bit. So Walt Disney et al. Realized we have something more than just a good character on our hand. We have an icon. So we're going to treat him like an icon, which means no more cartoons. Because if you make a cartoon, you can make a bad cartoon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keep him a hero.
They don't want to risk it.
How iconic is the Mickey Mouse brand and the ears and the logo itself? I mean, is that like Coca-Cola?
It's bigger than Coca-Cola. There are stories about explorers going into the parts of the Brazilian rainforest that no Western person has gone into, and they find like a native trait of a Yamamoto, and one of them is wearing a Mickey Mouse sweater.
That's hilarious. The other
So
one's
like-
wearing a Bills Super Bowl championship.
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, T-shirt.
Yeah, some aid workers get in there. Hey, but what this book is really centrally about, though, it is about obviously Mickey Mouse, but the scandal involves Walt Disney, who, we all think of as this Uncle Walt type character, and then a guy that was truly central to the development of Mickey and the start of Disney named Oob Iwerks. Am I saying that right? Oob?
You're saying it right, yeah. Walt called him Ub, and therefore everyone else in the world called him Ub. But he called himself Oob. So you can say either one, and people know who you're talking about. Because it's not like there's a lot of Oob Iwerkses out there.
Yeah.
If you yell Oob in a crowd, 5 people don't turn around. Oh, me? Oh, the other Oob. Oh, sorry.
So tell us who was Oob or Ub Iwerks?
He was Walt Disney's best friend. They met when they were 18 and 19 years old. They both got basically fired together on their first gigs, and they became partners in Kansas City. They started their first business together, which didn't last long, but they stayed through it through thick and thin. They learned how to animate, and they spent 10 years working without much success, but they kept their company going, moved to Los Angeles, and then Mickey Mouse hit. And Mickey Mouse was a huge hit, and they had had 10 years of laying the groundwork for the success, so they were able to capitalize on it. And Oob was able to train a brand new fleet of animators to make Mickey. Walt, however, really got panicked. He wanted to write everything, and he wasn't writing very well, so he just wrote the same gags over and over again.
Yeah.
And he started to take it out on Oob. He started to yell at him to put more detail in the drawings, and then he would say, why are you putting so much detail in the drawings? Who told you to do that? Just work fast.
Boy, it sounds like Kansas City, circa 1929, was the place to be if you getting into this type of work. Why Kansas City of all places? There was so much talent there.
Yeah, you talk about some of the early artists coming out and forming Looney Tunes, etc.
Yeah, you don't think of Kansas City as an animation hub, but that's where Walt Disney was. And he had what was called a college of animation, which was just his garage. And he said, okay, welcome to the college. You're working for free. That's your change.
Yeah.
Genius.
And that's where Isadora Freeling got his start, and he worked for Looney Tunes and made something like 200 cartoons, something absurd like that for them. And he's the basis for Yosemite Sam, because he was short, had red hair, and was angry all the time.
Jeff, Disney is notorious for keeping a really tight grip and lock on their history. Like they don't let people do big pieces on Walt, and they've got creative control over them. Was it hard for you to research? Because there's a lot of information in this book that I'd never known about. Was it hard for you to research or get access to things?
It was going the way I wanted, which was access to the Disney archives, which is a big pile of all the information you'd ever want about Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney. They don't let many people in, and I was one of the people that wasn't allowed in. It's mostly Disney employees who are researching stuff for documentaries or DVD extra features. But other people have been let in, and I read as much of their stuff as possible. And by finding all these bits and pieces that everyone had put in different books over the years, I was able to stitch together a portrait of Walt and Oob that I think has been there in plain sight for like the better part of 100 years, but no one ever looked at because they were more interested in themselves.
Now, you get the sense, reading this, that Walt Disney was in part a real huckster or scam artist. Is that fair to conclude? I mean, it always seemed like he was behind. He owed investors all the time. He was going bankrupt.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Always robbing Peter to pay Paul, keep his businesses afloat. I mean, numerous unpaid bills in his wake. And, is that fair to say that he was sort of a Svengali?
He had ways of keeping things moving. At one point, he dodged the bill because it was written out to Walt Disney instead of Disney, and he was like, "Hey, I am 100% not Walt Disney. You can get out of here with this."
Jeez.
That's hilarious. You know, the thing that popped in my mind as soon as I started reading the book and the relationship between Oob and Walt, it immediately reminded me of the early beginnings of Apple and Jobs and Wozniak. Is that a fair comparison?
Yes, that's pretty close, because Steve Jobs was the public face, and he was the person everyone thought of as, oh, this guy knows computers, he knows everything. Inside the company, you realize, what is this guy doing? He's not doing the programming, he's not doing the designing, he's not doing any of the stuff. He's just taking credit. But you need both people. You need the geniuses in order to put stuff together, and then you also need a sort of huckster genius in order to sell it to the world. Mm-hmm. And part of the huckster genius is taking credit for all of the actual technical genius.
Right.
Yeah, which Walt has no problem doing.
And did he screw Oob? I mean, in the end, is that your conclusion that he really screwed over Oob, who actually invented Mickey Mouse?
Yes, I think Oob kind of screwed himself because he elected to quit. And when he elected to quit, he sold his share in Disney. He
20%,
had a
right?
1/5 share.
Yeah.
20%. He sold it for $3,000.
Not bad.
And,
That's a lot of money back then, though.
$3
That's
grand
a lot of money.
And what
Nothing
would
wrong
that
with
be
that.
worth today, Jeff?
Are you sitting down?
We are.
He would be worth $32 billion.
Oh!
But in his defense, $3 grand was a lot of money back then.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yes,
and prayers to the
that
iWorks
was a
family,
year's
man.
salary at A&W as an assistant manager.
Wow, can you imagine processing that if you're, Oob iWorks the fourth? You're just sitting there going, wow, that's great.
When did Oob die? Did he know what he'd lost out on?
He did know, but probably they would have asked him to buy back the shares and given him more than $3,000, but less than $32 billion.
32 billion.
Because Disney had they had sold shares to other people, and then they ended up buying them back because they realized we should have never parted with any of this.
Yeah.
Oh. Didn't we read about a guy, Jay, recently that started with Apple?
Yeah, he was one of the main
living in a
investors.
trailer.
Absolutely.
His money, his 5% or whatever today would have been worth like $20-some billion.
Yeah, but he was making the argument like, no, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with my decision.
Yeah.
I do the same thing over again.
I like living in a trailer in the desert. Yeah, I made the right call. No regrets. You're like, dude.
Hey, so Jeff, Mickey Mouse never comes to be without Oswald the Rabbit being stolen by Universal, right?
That's right, but stolen isn't really the right word, because Walt was kind of living with a blinkered life, thinking we invented Oswald and we're animating him, therefore we own him. They were working for Universal. Universal owned Oswald. He deluded himself into thinking that he was so valuable they would never separate Oswald from Walt.
Yeah,
and they did.
They did.
And Oswald survived for a good number of years afterwards, but that made Walt so upset that he decided, whatever else I make next, I'm going to own, I'm never going to sell. And that was, of course, Mickey Mouse.
Now, would Oswald have hit like Mickey did? Would we all be wearing, like right now we're all wearing Mickey ear hats. Would we be wearing Oswald ear hats?
It wouldn't be too terribly different. They're basically the same character,
Really?
except for the ears.
Yeah. No kidding.
But Disney owns Oswald the Rabbit now.
Oh, really? They got it back?
Yes, they got him back in 2006 because Disney now owns ABC, and ABC and NBC were in a deal to get Monday night or Sunday night football back. So Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was traded for Al Michaels.
No way!
What?
It's awesome.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes.
It's a good trade.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Do
trade.
you believe in miracles, Mike?
Yeah, I do. So Jeff, how exactly was Mickey Mouse created? Because Walt has spun numerous stories. I think there's 5 stories he tells over the years about how it was created, and one more fantastic than the last. But what's the truth about how Mickey Mouse was created?
The reason why Walt spun all the stories is because the story is boring. You sit down when you're talking and you start doodling something. That's basically the story of Mickey Mouse. They sat down and they started to draw different animals, and Ub drew a frog, a horse, a dog, another cat, and eventually Walt drew a mouse, but it was not a good mouse, and Ub drew a better mouse. And he tried for 4 or 5 or 6, and then he finally found one that he liked. One of the things that he liked was that it was simple to draw. It only took about 30 seconds. you don't want to go too detailed because then you have to go detailed every single frame of animation.
And what was it about these 1920s and 30s Mickey Mouse cartoons that made them so popular? What were some of the key technological or artistic advancements that these guys were onto that others weren't?
The biggest one was sound. He hit in November of 1928, and he was a sound cartoon with Steamboat Willie. He was whistling, there was tap dancing, there was a goat that you could turn around and he would make music. There was all sorts of caterwauling, and every Mickey cartoon afterwards had lots of synchronized sound. And this was at a time when everyone loved synchronized sound, but no one could do it well. So for the first couple of years, Mickey Mouse was the best, if not the only, sound cartoon or live action that you could see. And by the time other people caught up, Mickey's animation had gotten so good so that he was not just good sound, he was good animation.
And this is happening right on the cusp of the Great Depression. How does a cartoon character being shown in movie theaters catch fire during a time when you'd think entertainment dollars would be extremely hard to come by?
As people economized for a lot of things, but they didn't economize for the movies. 1 in 6 people during the Great Depression, at least the beginning of it, were still going to the movies every single week. Because when you paid your nickel or dime, you got to go and sit for as long as you want, often in an air-conditioned room, and you could avoid all of the terrible things that are going on in your life. And if you're unemployed, what do you got at home waiting for you?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. That happens even today. Our friend Mike here, sitting here, he'll often catch a double feature on the.
It's
the Price
already
of One.
playing. I mean, whether I'm there or not, stealing the second movie is relevant. You know.
Hey, speaking of history, though, Jeff, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy were really popular during World War II. You talk about that. I thought it was interesting your discussion how Disney pitched in during post-Pearl Harbor, the war effort, even helping to sell war bonds, see?
Yeah, war bonds. Get your war bonds, ladies and gentlemen.
Talk about what role Disney played in helping the government during the war.
They were helping the war bond effort in Canada, at least, before Pearl Harbor. So when Pearl Harbor hit, they were able to say, hey, we've already been making propaganda films. We can just keep making more of them. And the government at first just wanted Disney's studio as a place for its soldiers and its sailors to rest up. They had like 2,000 people and I think 3 million rounds of ammunition, live ammunition, sitting in the Disney studios until Walt finally said, we can't animate your propaganda if you're using us as a boarding house. So eventually they moved out, and they made something like 300,000 feet of animation a year for the government, which was about 100 times more than they used to make.
And Donald Duck played a big role in that. How did... Yeah, right. Nice.
I've been working on my duck impression.
How did the Donald...
That's better than mine.
It's not bad, right? It's a work in progress. It's not ready for stage
How
yet.
did the Donald Duck character come to be? He's kind of a dick, to be honest. And
on purpose, though.
Not even wearing pants, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Why did Disney need a character like Donald?
Because Mickey Mouse was too all shucks. He was too happy. You can't imagine Mickey doing anything too bad. And think about how hard it would be as a writer to come up with 8 minutes of hijinks like 3 times a year or 6 times a year with Mickey Mouse when he's not allowed to do anything bad. With Donald Duck, he's awful. You can imagine him doing anything. He will trip an old lady in the street just to laugh at her.
I've seen
and
it.
you're still okay with him.
Yeah, it's true. Sure. Well, early Mickey Mouse wasn't that squeaky clean. Early Mickey Mouse, we see him drinking, he's smoking, there's a lot of animal abuse. He would not survive in the #MeToo movement of today.
No, and they quickly cleaned up his act. But if you see some of those early cartoons, you almost need to warn anyone who's watching it. You're going to see Mickey doing stuff that you couldn't imagine. I mean, he sexually assaults Minnie in the very first
like a lot.
cartoon.
Yeah. Very first cartoon.
It's very handsy.
She is clearly saying no multiple times, and he's like, I've had enough, and he just grabs her and takes a kiss. It's very Pepe Le Pew-like.
Yes, Pepe Le Pew was he's actually a good example of what Mickey Mouse used to be like. He's not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
But they cleaned him up because they realized that he was becoming an icon for children, and they didn't want to get any letters from parents. Therefore, Mickey had to be squeaky clean. And Donald did not. Donald was like the release valve. Anything they wanted to do with Mickey, they couldn't. They gave to Donald.
Yeah, I like, Jeff, when you got to that part of the book, you had to address it. I mean, it had to be addressed. Mickey sexually assaulting in a way Minnie, but you actually wrote trigger warning and underlined it. You know, like you were setting up the audience reading the book, like this is going to be tough, and then you describe it. You know, I don't know if it was that necessary, but I found that fascinating that you went there.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure in the current climate that I was letting people know that this is not going to be a fun chapter to get through.
Yeah,
But
it was tough.
You'll get through it. And if you want to skip the page, go ahead.
Well, there's another story you talk about where I think it was Walt's birthday one year, and a group of cartoonists pulled him into a screening room, surprised him with a Mickey and Minnie short that really pissed Walt off. Talk about what they did and what his reaction was.
They were sitting in the sound stage, and off to the right is the multi-plane camera, which was used in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to make all of those incredible shots of Snow White running through the forest. And they turn down the lights. It's Walt Disney's birthday. They say the animators have a special surprise, and it's an old black and white clip, but it's newly animated of Mickey and Minnie, let's say, performing the act of marriage.
Oh,
and
boy.
One person starts laughing, then another person, and then everyone starts laughing. And they look at Walt, and Walt's laughing, and then that's okay, and everyone starts laughing. And then as soon as they turn the lights off, Walt asks, okay, which one of you guys did that? And like 2 or 3 guys raise their hands. They go, we did it, boss. And he goes, you're fired.
Oh, man. Wow, that's
the
rough.
sanctity of the mouse.
Sure,
Don't mess with it. Dude, can you imagine what that would be worth today if that footage were found?
Oh,
You know?
it probably exists in one of their vaults.
Original Mickey porn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something you don't want to have coming up on your safe search.
Sure. We also see Mickey, you know, a lot of people over the years have tagged Walt Disney as a racist or anti-Semitic especially. And, you know, we see parts of that. People will point to some very early cartoons of, you know, Mickey as a Hasidic Jew. You know, he'll come out as a Hasidic Jew and he's, you know, doing the snake thing. You know, do you think that was fair? Was Walt, you know, anti-Semitic?
No, he wasn't anti-Semitic. First of all, the times themselves were pretty anti-Semitic.
Sure.
So Walt was a person of his times. And living in the central Midwest, there weren't that many exposure to Jewish culture, to Jewish people. It was really only vaudeville. So Walt is not that different than the white kid listening to rap who says, why can't I say that word because all my favorite rappers are saying that word? Mm-hmm. He doesn't understand, well, I'm not a member of the group. Therefore, it's not self-denigrating if you're not in the group. It's just denigrating.
Mm.
Yeah, but is self-deprecation, I mean, is that the only way to make that humor? You know, I mean, stereotypes have been around forever in movies and cartoons. I don't know what the landscape would look like without it.
Right, and that's exactly what vaudeville was.
Right, yeah.
Well, speaking of Jew haters, is it true that Hitler hated Mickey Mouse?
Yes, Hitler hated Mickey Mouse, but that's not. Hitler hated everyone, so it was a long list. Of people
but Jews were top of the list.
But
yes,
yeah,
and
I would probably say
like Mickey Mouse because Walt had such a potent type of imagery, and Hitler felt like he was just wasting it on entertainment for everyone when he could use it to denigrate others and to blame everything on certain unlikable members of society.
Yeah. God. So when you look back at the history of Mickey Mouse, who do you think deserves the most credit for creating? Because there really is, you can't do one without the other. I mean, Oob was not a humor guy. He wasn't a story guy like Walt was, but he was the artist guy. And then there was a third guy that came in and kind of humanized Mickey even more. Who do you think deserves the most credit? I mean, Walt obviously gets it, but
Walt gets it, and his sort of genius is a little harder to understand nowadays. Ub Iwerks was an animation genius. Walt was a managerial genius. He was much more of a producer than a director or a writer or an animator. He knew the right people to hire and put them in the right place, and he had a vision that he was able to create by moving all those pieces around like pawns on the chessboard. So Walt, I think, ultimately gets the credit for making Disney what it is, but Oob should get more credit for making Mickey Mouse who he is.
But doesn't Burt Gillette deserve a lot of credit too?
Oh yes, Burt Gillette and Fred Moore, and there's a whole series of great animators who worked with Mickey, who softened his rough edges and made him who we think of as Mickey Mouse instead of just a rat boy running around who replaced Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
Sure. Moving on to other parts of the book, Little Red Riding Hood, first story to get the Disney-fied treatment. What does that mean? Like, people talk about that a lot. You know, oh, it was Disney-fied. What does getting the Disney-fied treatment mean?
Now, some people say Disney-fied positively. Other people do not. And both those people can agree that Little Red Riding Hood, which I think he made in 1922 or so, is the first Disney-fied story, because you have one version or one aspect that they changed was that the wolf is no longer a wolf. The wolf is a person. So you get rid of the metaphor of what fairy tales are, and you just have a real-life story. And there's also a fake happy ending put on, which is that the wolf gets thrown into the ocean, and Snow White and her little dog and the woodsman meet, and then the dog looks yuck because they're kissing, and kissing is gross if you're a 5-year-old, which is his intended audience.
Mm-hmm. The final split between Oob and Walt, what was that? Was that Pat Powers luring him to go, to leave Walt Disney? Because I don't think he was ever credited on another Disney project again from that day forward.
He didn't get a director credit on anything. No, there was a guy named Pat Powers who was like an independent producer, and instead of building his own talent, he would simply hire away other talent. And the best way he knew to do that was to create schisms and dissent so that someone was ready to quit and leave. And he was able to do that with Oob, so he was able to hire Oob away. Now, his ultimate plan may not have been to hire Oob away. His ultimate plan may have been to bankrupt Disney so that he could then get Mickey Mouse at a fire sale price,
right,
which is what he had done before. That's a plan that worked for him.
Right. And Pat was just an all-around shady dude. And what was his thing? He had the machine that could do the first soundtrack, which was what Walt needed and paid a fortune for, without telling his brother Roy, by the way, the finance guy. I found that fascinating, too.
Yeah, because if he told his brother, the finance guy would have said, no, we're not going to sign this contract for $26,000 a year for 10 years because that's all of our profits. We're not going to be profitable until the year, 1938. Oh. But Walt, and I quote, said, what the hell? I wanted it.
Well, that's what struck me about Walt, though, is, you mentioned his visionary, the nature of his vision was so important to the company and so forth, but part of you reads this and it's like, is this guy just ignorant and reckless, or is he really this genius visionary? Because it just seems like he's constantly mortgaging the company's success to try to go with something bigger, or a new shiny toy.
At any point could have bankrupted the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, could have absolutely dive-bombed the thing, if not for Snow White, saving it after huge risk. It was a groundbreaking feature-length cartoon that had never been done before. It's in the late 30s, huge budget, staff, the number of shots involved, but it ends up being a hit and kind of saves him along with his merchandising. I mean, was Walt just reckless as hell, or was he really a genius?
No, he was pretty reckless. He was a lot like the guy who puts all of his money on 31 and spins the roulette wheel and it goes and he goes, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. It's like, wait, that's not what you do.
Right.
But he kept on winning.
Well, it'll eventually hit 31, and it did for Walt.
Hey, what do you think Walt would think about the Disney Corporation today? Would he agree that they're going to run the Star Wars franchise into the ground?
I think he would be amazed that Disney is still around and still growing and still bigger and bigger, and a little weirded out that they are still worshiping him instead of anyone else.
Hey, Jeff, there is a ton in this book. We're running out of time here. It's called A Mouse Divided, How Oob Iwerks became forgotten and Walt Disney became Uncle Walt. People that are into Disney and the history will really love this book. It's very, you've gone the distance and gone in depth with it. We certainly appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
Yep, you too.
Detroit Cast continues after this short break. Detroitcast continues now, bitches. Here are Mike and Jay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show with Mike and Jay. Oh, man. Just looking at that total book upstairs. I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I want to know about the writing process for Africa. And Rosanna. Hopefully he's available for interviews, and he was just telling me, yeah, Mike Massey just saw him. Saw Total live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is fun.
Yeah, Africa's becoming a thing, kind of like a Sweet Caroline,
Isn't
a
that
Neil Diamond.
crazy?
You know, it's like a sing-along white
Yeah.
person at the bar, kind of end of the night.
And that's before, like, Weezer decided to do it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like,
it's
going
been
on for a
steadily
while.
growing through kind of our time doing it. You know what I
Why?
mean?
I wonder why. I wonder why that song is, like, of all the... Because there's plenty of fucking
Yeah,
80s
classic
songs.
sing-alongs.
Is it kind of tongue-in-cheek?
For sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wonder if the band knows that or cares. You know what I mean? If it's like,
Yeah.
no, our song was just tits. You know, our song was tits, so everyone's doing it now. But you're right, dude. It's being played in, like, arenas before events and everything. Well, whatever. Anyway, getting back to things going on in the world, did you see this? This is another example of a story that breaks while we're, doing the weekend thing. So we're not there for it. But that dude set up, and it's an international story, in New Mexico, where he had that the Muslim who set up like a grounds to train kids to school shoot.
Yeah, like 10-year-olds to early teenagers, right?
Yeah, I think they were training at this point the 15 and 16-year-old to shoot up their school. And
Perfect.
it's like, how does that get by? How is this taking place? He was arrested.
Vast swaths of open land. That's it, you know?
And then-
if you're willing to live in a fucking cave, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a cave. It's just the desert. You're just off in no man's land. And it's him and like 4 other adults arrested, and you see them, and they're all fucking, the women are all covered up. He's just like, oh, this just looks like trouble. I'm sorry. It just is. Adults, 11 children allegedly tested. This guy allegedly tested positive for an explosive, like, substance on his hands at the airport in New York, like 3 years after 9/11. And it's like, why don't you keep an eye on that motherfucker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are we letting Siraj Wahaj, kind of a dope name, Siraj Wahaj, he was armed while holding the group of starving children in this ramshackle.
That one kind of does roll off the tongue. Usually, you
Yeah,
know what
usually
I mean?
they don't.
Usually we have to end up going to, we get halfway through the name, and then it's like Bob. We just call him Bob.
Wasn't this guy involved in the first World Trade Center bombing?
Oh, you're thinking of Senior. Mr. Wahaj
Pops.
Senior. Yeah, that was Dad.
Pops Wahaj.
Siraj Wahaj Jr. I should have stated that. But Wahaj Senior, yeah, has ties to, like,
I thought so. I was going through my mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
Wahaj. Sounds familiar.
sounds familiar. Muhammad Atta, was that his name? Remember that guy with that creepy fucking
Oh, yeah.
squared off jaw and
Yeah.
that creepy look in his eyes? He's one of the main
Operatives. He was kind of the leader of the...
He was flying a plane
Yeah, absolutely.
on 9/11. So yeah, he was allegedly training these children to school shoot.
So
Like,
what's his relationship to Atta? What were you saying?
I guess they shared a mosque at one point.
I'm sure
That's-
it's just coincidence. I'm sure.
Maybe.
I'm sure of it.
Maybe. I'm personally not willing to give him the benefit of the doubt,
No.
but if you are, that's fine. I can't tell you. So the dad, I think it was the dad that actually turned him in, though.
Speaking of that, maybe the mosque is maybe a place we want to
Keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Racist.
get somebody in there.
What does that make you? A religionist or a?
Not a racist.
You're a phobe of some sort, though.
No,
are
I'm
you?
I'm just a dude who's focusing in on the people who are most likely to do this shit.
No, I think you're a Muslim phobe. Is that
No,
what do they
no.
call you? What do they call you? You're
I'm
a
just going,
phobe of
hey,
some sort.
until an old white lady named Hazel Abel, 86 years old, what do they want with me? Until somebody like that pulls off one of these things,
With me.
then I'm going to be checking out mosques, etc.
But we can't. That's stereotyping, Jay. We can't do that. So we need to check all the Hazel Abels of the world and check their.
Well, I'm 86 years old. What do you want with me?
If you don't check her bloomers for bombs at the airport, then you can't fucking check Siraj Wahaj's pants for bombs at the airport. You know what I mean? It's only
Sure.
fair.
Yes,
it's
fair.
only
It's
fair.
America.
America. The Masjid Al Taqwa Mosque in Brooklyn. So that's where they were monitoring back a couple years after September 11th. And they say Wahaj Sr. was always espousing hatred for America, which is always great when you're in Brooklyn at a mosque. You know, if you're just preaching over and over hate for America. Apparently, some of that rubbed off on his son. Picked up some of those ideals.
As it's prone to do.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that my dad did wrong that I've picked up on. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. He wanted to start a caliphate government here, a Muslim government in America. It's not. I mean, it's not the worst idea ever. I mean, do you think a caliphate,
I mean, if
a
you're
Muslim
going to dream,
government?
dream big, right, Mike?
I mean, that's a big dream, though, isn't it? To start a Muslim government here in America. Good luck with that. He told reporters, I think my son can be extreme sometimes. Not all the time, but occasionally he can lean extreme. It's something my dad could never say about me. Could your dad say that about you?
No.
Didn't think so. But I want to be clear, not radical. Not radical, but occasionally he'll lean extreme.
What is that definition? Like, you know,
thought it was
what
the
does
same
that
thing.
really
It's the
mean?
spectrum, you know? Like
So,
neutral.
He's made a few
radical,
remarks at a
extreme.
barbecue where it's like, fuck America, but I don't really
Yeah.
want, you know, I'm not
Burned
gonna,
a few flags.
Here's the quote. See if this sounds like
Clapped
Bill.
on 9/11. I mean,
but like not enough that
he's not, you know, rocket launcher on the shoulder and shit. I mean, we're not talking.
Well, you know, that would be radical. He's not radical. So if Mike Fady or Bill or Bob Walters, like if they were describing us to the news media, would this quote come out of their mouth? I think my son can be extreme sometimes, but not radical.
You know,
like,
maybe Bob describing you,
like killing people, God forbid.
Well, no,
He's
not in
just
the Muslim context.
He's
but
just a little high strung.
No,
that
I can see
phrase
my
could
dad
come
saying
out of-
that. I can
yeah.
see my dad saying that about me,
He can
but
be
not
extreme. Yeah, he
but
can be
not in a
extreme in his
religious.
masturbatory practices,
Well-
but not radical, right?
Could you guys honestly see your old men saying
Not
that?
me,
Yes,
but you two,
me?
yeah, I could see.
Yes.
You think you could see my dad? You could see Bob. You know, he's got Channel 7 in his face.
Yeah,
with
he
a-
can be
Yes.
extreme sometimes.
I think my son can be extreme sometimes, but not radical, like killing
take
people,
the Indian
God forbid.
accent
Yeah,
off
if you're taking
and
away
just
from 9/11 or
take it out of the context of
my dad should
terrorism.
100% say that about me.
He's just a little high strung.
I think both of your dads could say that about both of you.
That I could be extreme.
Yes,
Yeah,
out
like-
of the religious context, obviously.
But it can't be taken out of the religious context. I'm using it in the
Okay.
context he's using it in. Wahaj Sr. is also a few ties with some notorious terrorists. Muhammad Atta, the ringleader of 9/11. He's also
All coincidental.
a character witness for Sheikh Omar Abdel Raham.
All coincidence.
Yeah. During one of our investigations in the activities of Mr. Wahaj and his son in 04, Wahaj Jr. was flying to Saudi Arabia and he was tested positive for foreign substances by a TSA agent.
Ah, you know, who hasn't?
Now, like you've never had a little Pentax on your head, on your head.
You know.
Bomb making material, whatever. We don't all bump into a little Pentax from time
Don't
to
always
I don't know
have
why that
latex
freaks the hell out
available.
of me, though. I will say it when they choose to do the hand thing. I've never made a bomb or in my life, and I still get freaked out. I don't know why.
TSA did choose not to detain him, which is good. I think that's a good move. I mean, if you find a little Pentax in someone's hand, what does that mean? I mean, honestly.
It's insane.
Be
What does
racist
that
to
mean?
do it.
Yeah, it could
So
just be a trace amount, you know.
And so he's like, fuck it. I'm going international. I'm going to New Mexico, setting up shop with a bunch of tires and a trailer. And I'm going
He's gonna train some kids.
train some kids how to. What do you think we do with those kids?
Getting those tires
Can you
out there must have
unwire
been fun.
the brains of those kids who have been training for quite a while to do a
How
mess?
long have they been there? Whose are they?
I don't know.
What are they? What are these kids?
I don't know, but I want to.
Little runaways?
I
What are
kind of want
these
them
kids?
deleted. Like,
Are they being kept against their will? What's going on here?
I don't think
They
so.
enjoying this shit?
I'm not sure, but
Are they doing the monkey bars and all that?
kind of
I
want
don't
them
really
deleted.
see any
I'm just
monkey
saying.
bars.
They got the head wraps and
Like, it's a risk I'm not willing to take. That they're cured, you know.
throw them in a burlap sack and chuck them in a river, or what do
yeah.
we do?
Yeah. Sure.
Hey, you already know that Hamlin Pub is a great place to watch the big tackle ball game with your buddies or for a night out with your girl. But are you aware, Mike, of Hamlin Pubs' amazing Tuesday and Thursday food specials? Tuesdays,
Sure.
Burger and Brews Days.
Sure.
That's an Angus burger, fries, and your choice of a 12-ounce domestic beer or soda, just $6.99. That's a great deal. If pizza's more your thing, however,
It is.
then get there on Thursdays when you will get half off. Half off! All
It's not
pizzas.
bad.
These specials are good at all 5 Hamlin Pubs locations in Clarkston, Chesterfield, Rochester, and the 2 in Shelby Township, of course.
71-year-old politician from Norway. He's protesting the excess number of cruise ships that are like he's on holiday. He's got a little spot that he likes right there in the water.
71-year-old politician from Norway. What the hell are you doing at 71 being a politician? And I know we have plenty of them in America, and I'll ask the same question. Dude, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'll never. It's power
The
hungry.
ego. It's the goddamn
totally
ego.
Of course it is.
Narcissism.
Svein Opdal.
Sven.
Sven, of course. He's a local politician for Norway's Green Party. And he is absolutely livid that there are so many cruise ships going by. It's a beautiful area, and so there's a lot of cruise ships. He sees a couple in one day, and he's like, "I've had enough. This is an outrage." And so he decides to take off all his clothes, and he's like, "Honey, I need you to take my picture," and he's just gonna stand there proudly and show off. Like, yeah, you want to see some shit?
Ah, look at that
So here he is.
71-year-old droopy ass.
Make sure you put that up there.
Actually, it's not a bad ass for 71.
No, for 71.
You know? This guy's pretty well put together for 71. I take that back.
What is this gonna do? How is this gonna? Who gives a shit?
You guys are both touching on things that I thought, which is, I don't think this has anything to do with cruise ships going by. I think this is about Sven wanting
a sweet
people to.
Instagram photo going viral. Sven wants to go viral.
Sven wants to go, look, motherfuckers, I'm 71 and I look amazing. Look at my can. You can tell from the backside I'm not fat. I'm still in shape. Like
He's
he
got
wants,
pretty good calf muscles and shit too.
Not terrible. Can you see a dong hanging down? Should you see a dong?
Yeah, you should
Coming
see
out
some
there.
undercarriage. You should see a fruit cup at least, right?
It depends on what the angle.
He is kind of
here.
angled, yeah. Let's give him a break
Take your
here.
pants off really quick.
He's got a
Spread
nice ass for a 71-year-old
It's
man.
not a bad ass. Like if that was pounding away on a chick, you'd watch it. You'd be all right with that. Can you zoom in on that undercarriage and see if we can see anything creeping out? A helmet, a bag, anything. I think this is a guy that just wants to show off how good he looks, right?
Absolutely. There's not many guys who look that good at
By
that
the way,
age, so
why would
no
he?
question.
Because why would he think that this would affect the cruise ships going by? There's too many cruise ships going by, so I'm gonna stand in my yard.
Yeah,
naked.
this will teach him.
Yeah. He posted this to Instagram.
From what is he? A mile away?
I know.
Exactly. He did this with the caption, "I protest." That was the caption on Instagram. And it's like,
Sven loves his ass.
that's what I'm thinking, right?
He loves him
knows.
some Sven ass.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't think he likes his tan. Look at the tan line going from
Loves it.
base of his back to top of his ass cheeks. And he's thin. At 71, he looks well put together for 71.
Yep.
And he wants the world to know.
And now
We
we're
see through
looking
you,
at him.
Sven.
It worked because now we're looking at him.
I know.
We're
I know.
looking at his
move,
ass.
Sven. Not a bad move.
God. Fucking. I'm going to look at you, Sven. Did you know we had a 107-year-old here in Michigan?
No.
Were you
Did
aware
you say
of this?
had? Oh, no.
No,
Did
we
lose
have.
her?
We have.
You're not a hundred.
Now she's better than 100. She's a buck 07 from Kazoo. Did you know that?
I
didn't
didn't.
know that. Viola Coleman, Kalamazoo, and she had a bucket list. There's a lot of people with these bucket lists nowadays.
Sure.
I want to go skydiving. Oh, I want to go, hike Kilimanjaro, whatever.
Was bucket list a phrase before the bucket list movie with
I think
Nicholson
so.
and
No.
I
Morgan
think
Freeman?
so, but
That's where it came from, right?
no,
No? I
I'd
guess
heard it
that's my
before that
question.
movie.
I don't remember hearing it before that movie.
I sure did. Well, whatever.
Sorry
think
to
that I-
sidetrack things.
No, that's
onto
okay.
Onto a subject that is unanswerable, apparently, without
So-
a Bing machine at the ready.
Viola at a buck 07, her bucket list item is she wants to ride a motorcycle. It's like, that's awesome, ride a
By
motorcycle.
yourself? Oh no,
I don't know.
Viola.
She with the help of her nursing home, she was able to ride into the sunset. She used to do this with her old man. She was 14, 15. We'd go to the ball game. He bought me popcorn and Cracker Jack.
Almost 100 years ago.
Right.
Holy shit, man!
So she was able to relive these
Think
good
about that.
old days.
93 years ago,
Yeah.
I used to ride a motorcycle.
Did they even have blacks playing ball then? 93 years ago?
Blacks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think this is like. Weren't we in the Negro Leagues at this point?
Maybe.
So she was able to relive those golden days thanks to the staff at the Hallmark Living Nursing Home. They brought a motorcycle to the building, and she got to go a few laps around the parking lot, then
Let's
hit the
see this
streets of
hog.
Kazoo,
What kind of hog we talking about?
smiling, waving to the crowds.
Do we have a picture? Do we have a
107.
picture?
Do we have some video, E? It's a bucket list item. Something she's wanted ever since she was a little kid. So at 107, I think she's earned the right to ride a motorcycle.
Shut up, dude. Look at this. Oh no.
hero. She's been around for over a century and is still doing things that she's always
Just
wanted to
a
do.
crazy,
like
wily woman, isn't she? Sitting in a sidecar. Give me a break, man.
I'm happy. I stay happy. I wake up
Is that a
in the
man or a
morning
woman?
happy.
Miss Viola
Well, she's
Coleman,
wearing
happy,
pink,
so
healthy,
it's a woman.
and riding a motorcycle at
I mean,
107 years
Riding a
old.
motorcycle, does that qualify as riding?
No!
I mean, even at 107, can you give her a pass?
Like, so she fucking sat down. Way to go.
She's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, what's the difference? Just hook her onto give her a rope. Let her hold a rope and we'll take her for a ride.
Look at her back there.
She's earned this day. I mean, her dream is to ride a motorcycle.
Honestly,
and,
why even the sidecar? Just give her a goddamn rope and let the guy pull her down the road.
Oh, no.
as soon as I saw it, I was like, wait, you guys know what riding a motorcycle means, right? Like,
Yeah, that's some poetic license there, isn't it?
I mean, if you said my dream is to drive a boat and then you get taken around on a boat as a passenger, that doesn't count as driving a boat.
Look at that.
This is absurd.
Look at that teeth. Set of teeth there.
These are local.
And that's her
Okay.
message to
The
everyone.
tooth to gum ratio trouble you?
Yeah.
And look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It's just getting better. We got an oxygen. We got an. What do they
I'm
call
so
the nose
mean.
things
I'm
for
such an
oxygen?
asshole.
Yeah, it's oxygen.
Such an asshole.
Doing to get to know, and she was very funny as well.
Oh, was she funny?
She's checking off her bucket list.
Yeah, local news in Kalamazoo doing their job. Look at that.
How was she
Joanne
funny?
Saunders. Back to you, Bill.
What a story.
I want to know how
Viola
she was
doesn't
funny.
look a day over 100.
Dude, I mean,
She declared her funny. I want to know how.
107, that is impressive. But if your bucket list item is to ride a motorcycle one last time, I think you owe her to stick her ass on a hog.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's an Indian or a Harley.
She can sit, obviously. Just stick her on the back of one. I mean,
She's used. Who's used to sitting more
tape
than
her on there, whatever you need to do. Bungee her.
She lives in a wheelchair. She's used to sitting more than anyone. So I think you strap her to a Harley, chopper preferably, and you send her out on the streets of Kazoo, and then let her wave. Now we're talking about getting the juices flowing, right?
Dude, the notion of her being pulled behind, it reminded me. Did I ever tell the story how my dad pulled me on my skateboard? Oh, man.
Oh, Bill,
My dad, like all weekend long, would be out in the yard.
shirtless.
You know, he looked like he had a piece of roadkill stuck to his chest.
The
Just
headphones with the
huge,
big antenna.
Huge headphones.
Listening to the Tiger
cans,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was in his own world. I mean, it was major escape.
It
Major
took a
escape
long
from
time to mow
family.
your lawn. Your lawn wasn't that big, but it took him days.
Well, he Miyagi'd a lot of the shit. You
He,
know, he had some nice landscape beds and things like that he took care of really well.
Right, I
And
just
so-
saw him mowing over and over.
I know.
Over.
Checkerboarding it
Over.
every weekend.
Over.
But I remember interrupting him one day saying, "Dad, can you pull me on my skateboard just once around the sub?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he jumps on my bike, which had a
Was it
rack.
a Mongoose with mag wheels?
No, this was my 10-speed that I got later, and it had a rack on the back for my paper route bag to sit on.
Sure.
And I had tied a rope on that, and I was gonna grab. What was it, a Switzer? It was like one of these penny boards that they have now, really thin skateboard from back in the 70s,
The
80s.
plastic.
Yeah, it wasn't like the big wide ones that Tony Hawk
one of
made
those,
famous
yeah,
and all that
sweet.
shit. It was the thin, cheap ass fuckers with the really narrow
Yeah,
wheels.
I totally remember them.
Do you remember what would happen if you got going too fast?
I'm imagining the wheels would wobble and
Basic physics. I mean, the thing
Yeah.
it just couldn't handle it, and it'd go into an uncontrollable wobble, the death wobble.
yeah, sure.
Well, my dad wasn't really familiar with the death wobble, and I didn't really
Sure.
inform him of the death wobble before he went hucking down this freaking hill.
Sure.
There's that hill that was kind of by Dave Kennedy's house that went down
Yeah.
by the creek area. And I just remember seeing my dad, he's out of the saddle, and I see him just
Oh, no.
pumping back and forth, back and forth. And my bike is just leaning, and he's pumping. He's getting some speed. He's
Yeah.
thinking, all right, I'm going to give this guy a ride. And I remember thinking, no, Dad. And I remember
What did
also
you think?
thinking,
Let go, Jay.
and I also remember thinking, why did I wind this thing around my wrist 10 times?
Oh,
Dude, the death wobble occurs. I go face first down the pavement.
Yeah.
And oh my God, did that hurt? I
Yeah.
had frickin' road rash all over me.
Did you cry?
Probably.
How old were you?
I was old enough. I was old enough where I could still cry. I was
Like
still. I was
10?
still young enough to be able to cry and
Yeah, not look like a pussy.
Yeah, but
Like
I remember
10?
sitting in the bathtub, you know,
Oh.
and just like dying, just stinging like
Yeah.
crazy. I had road rash everywhere, and my mom just. I heard her outside the door just lighting into my dad. What are you thinking? I can't believe you did
Yeah.
that. And he's just like, oh, I just thought I'd take a break and have some fun
Dude.
with my son.
My dad did something similar. what's wrong with our dads? Like my dad, it was like I had roller skates, so I was 4 wheels on one foot,
Not
4
roller
wheels-
blades, roller skates.
dude. I had 4 and 4.
At least you had brakes on the front, right?
Yeah, and I was like, Dad, you want to hop on my bike? I got a rope tied to the seat here and pull me down the street. He's like, yeah, no problem. And so he does. He takes me down. It's like, this is awesome. And then he turns around.
Oh, dude, that's
So-
impossible, right? Unless anybody who's ever gone tubing knows what physically happens. Then.
He does a sharp turnaround,
Yeah.
and so he starts going this way and passes me. I like wave at him as he goes past. Now I'm facing the other. You can picture this, right?
Yeah, he's open. You can do a 180 pretty quick, right?
And so I'm holding my rope, but I'm facing. He's going this way, and you can imagine when he got
You're being
booking,
caused to literally jump 180.
dude. It fucking yanked me into a 180, and I was just a rag doll tied to the back of this.
Do you think
I mean,
Bob did that on purpose? I mean,
maybe.
knows-
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, and he's not like he would ever accept blame for that. I mean, we saw what happened with the bomb falling off his plane. And it's everybody else's fault but his. But yeah, it was one of those words like an immediate jerk,
Yes.
and then face plant,
Yes.
and then burn. Just
Oh, did that hurt?
pavement
Huh?
to skin is not. That's not a good combination.
I haven't had like a good burn like that in a long time. Growing up, it was all the time. You know,
Yeah.
you'd have crazy turf burns
What
or
they call it, strawberry. We get those in soccer.
You'd have them
all
the time, and it's like, man, I haven't had that in years.
When was the
That's
last
an
time you
awful pain.
slid into second? at
I
full
know. When's
speed?
the last time you fell down? You know, I used
it's
to
been a
fall
while.
down all
Well,
the
he fell down
time.
at Ridley's that time.
Oh yeah, I thought about that when I was there the other day. I'm like, hey Gab, that's the doorway where Mike fell.
Sons of bitches. Of
I'm
course you're right.
sorry, dude.
Dude, that was brutal.
It's
And I
probably
had
the
no
last time you
idea.
fell, right?
I had no idea. There were literally a handful of people in there. It was like, oh, dude, yeah, I saw that. It was fucking hilarious. You bit it hard. Yeah, I sure did.
I always remember one time Matt Perry was on like Leno talking about falling.
Matt
but
Perry's is Matthew Perry
Yeah,
from
sorry,
Friends.
Matthew Perry.
Matt.
I don't know why I said Matt that time, but Matthew. But talking about like if you the idea of tripping on something, but like you didn't fall down, but you look back to see what you tripped on, and now you fall because you're just subconscious of it. Like if you kind of trip on something on a pavement, and you didn't fall, but then you look back to see what you fell on, and then he fell, and it just was more embarrassing. I guess. Never mind. All right, I
Thanks.
thought that was relevant. By the way, I will say I looked up. It does look like that term came from the movie. I mean,
There
it
you
said
go,
it was
Mike wins.
It said it was coined by an American British screenwriter, Justin. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and he had a list
Try
of
it. Justin what?
Zachem, Zackhem, Zachem,
Get the ch.
Spell it again.
Zackhem, Zachem,
Zachem.
Get the ch.
Zachem.
Can you?
Can't Zachem.
Zachem.
I can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
I tried. Just tried it. Zachem.
Not bad. Work on it.
Anyway,
Work on it.
he had a list. It said Justin's list of things to do before I kicked the bucket, which then shortened to Justin's bucket list, and then
Dude, he freaking coined a phrase that
Yeah.
everybody uses.
It's great.
Everybody.
It's a great one too. The bucket list.
Bucket
Yeah,
list.
Not bad. Anyway, should we get to some email, Jay?
We do have some email, Mike. If you'd like to write into the show, send us your thoughts to email at DetroitCast.com. By the way, Rich from the Blind Biz writes in. Remember how you called our sponsor, Rich from the Blind Biz, a liar last
I
week?
did,
Yeah.
and I stand by that.
You're like, he's a liar!
Liar.
Rich writes in, Jay was right. I definitely did email and Facebook message Mike. But you were probably too busy playing with the proops, Mike, maybe?
No,
I don't know.
No, it's. I wrote him back. I believe there was even some correspondence.
you can prove
Early
all of this
Yeah,
very
all of
easily.
this is very provable.
Early negotiations, because he sent me a similar email going, "Hey, fuckface,
Yeah.
I did write you," and I was like, "No, fuckface, I responded to you. Balls in your court. Thanks for getting back to me 6 months later."
Okay, well, let's consider this anew, that Rich is now corresponding with you, and you are now to get back with Rich. on
I
the
will
heels
have
of
you know.
this. You already did.
I already did.
Way
I already
to go,
responded
Mike.
to that email, and I will let you know if and when Rich gets back, because I think Rich is trying to get my goat with this string. I think this is a.
So
this
you think
is a ploy.
the disconnect is on Rich's end?
Yes, and I think his ploy is to gain goat, and I'm not having it.
Are you still? So you're still contending that Rich, one of our sponsors from the Blind
Right.
Biz, is a liar?
absolute liar, bold-faced. I'm going to show you my correspondence back to him today, and we'll see when he responds. Because if he doesn't, then this is
Facebook Messenger
clearly...
is even easier to prove, though. See, emails can get weird and erased. Facebook Messenger is pretty...
Well, I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling he's out to get my goat, and I'm not having it. I'm not falling for it. I responded to him. We'll see when he responds to me. And if you'd like proof, I will show you said response.
Okay.
Fair enough?
The Blind Biz and all of our listener businesses can be found under our Help the Show tab on our website. So.
Until then, he's a liar!
Kyle writes in, let's see here. We've got a Matt Stafford issue.
Oh, God.
Man, can you guys quit blowing Matt Stafford? Listen to Jay's father-in-law and realize he's just average. What did Paul say
Paul
about
didn't
him?
take shots at Stafford.
I don't hate him, but I just don't think he's that good.
Yeah, that was regarding Stafford. Remember, I was trying to kill time before I had to tell him I quit my job.
It's brutal.
I had to tell my father-in-law that I quit my job, and
It's worth a second listen. It's hilarious.
that his grandkids and his only daughter's future was riding on what we were doing in the basement of your house.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You left your job?
Yeah, sure did.
Oh, boy.
Dude, listen back to that, folks. And I've never heard Jay more uncomfortable in all my life. It just
awful.
warmed my heart. It was so...
Where do you broadcast from?
My basement, Paul.
But Kyle says, yeah, listen to Jay's father-in-law. Matt Stafford is just average, maybe slightly above, but not close to elite or Hall of Fame. Okay. I think the discussion that this is on the heels of is where somebody locally wrote, like, hey, if we're really looking at numbers here for Hall of Famers, like Matt Stafford could get in. I mean, he's on the right trajectory.
The point
and we were kind of like, okay, if he does more, we weren't saying like, oh yeah, his numbers get him in right now.
Guaranteed.
I don't think that's what.
The author of that article, the point was, hey, we haven't had a Hall of Famer since Barry Sanders. The next closest, maybe Calvin. And after that, the only thing close would be Matt Stafford.
But then
and
we did discuss the fact that you and I both have always liked Matt Stafford. We always looked at him as a positive rather than a negative.
For sure.
He's one guy on the team. Look, listen, I'm not a Lions fan. I'm just a third-party observer. What I see, I see a positive, not a negative. The fact that he's paid a bunch of money, that's just what the market bears. So I know that pisses everybody off, but
it is
just what the market bears. And we saw him surpassed by Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Your guy, the Niner, got a bigger contract than Stafford, and that dude's done close to nothing.
Right. He's played 7 games.
That's what the fucking market is. Kyle continues. Stafford leads all-time in pass attempts per game. He is second in yards per game behind Breeze. While those look impressive, they will become less so. He is behind the clearly better quarterbacks in every following category: Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Matt Ryan. He is 53rd all-time in yards per attempt, tied for 13th with active players behind such great players as Matt Schaub. He is still listed as active, believe it or not. Jameis Winston, Carson Palmer, Cam Newton, and tied with the likes of Andy Dalton, and just ahead of smoking Jay Cutler. He is 24th on career completion percentage, 14th for active behind the above, and the likes of Ryan Tannehill, Sam Bradford, Carson Palmer, Alex Smith, and again, Andy Dalton. 18th in career passer rating behind the above, and again, Matt Schaub and Andy Dalton. What about how he ended the Packers, how he needed the Packers to bench half of their players in the last game so he could hit the 5,000-yard mark that one year? How is this elite or even close to the Hall of Fame? And don't give me the shit that he has no help. All they do is try to get him more help every year. How many first and second round running backs do they have to draft? Best, LaSure, Abdullah, Johnson. Or first round tight ends, Pettigrew and Ebron. Or first to third round receivers, Williams, Young, Broyles, Galladay. Doesn't include linemen or all the free agents they have signed. Golden Tate and Marvin Jones were both the top ranked free agent receivers the years that they were signed. What about Bush, Bell, Burleson, etc.? Make someone else better for once. I'm so sick of all these excuses for this guy and then just looking at his stats. You cannot be behind Andy Dalton and just ahead of Jay Cutler in many categories. Sorry, just because he may be the best we have ever seen here does not make him the shit. Quit looking at him with Honolulu-colored blue glasses. That's all. Besides besides that, you have a great show.
Thank you. Kyle, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just flatly disagree. When I look at the Lions, and I try to be objective, I don't look at the Lions and go, you know what, if they just had a quarterback. Like, Matt Stafford is not the problem with the Lions. When you don't have a 100-yard rusher for 4 years plus, that means you are an absolutely unbalanced offense, period, end of discussion. And so that
and all
means
those people he just named
defenses
didn't
can-
get it done.
No,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, okay, they spent first, second round picks on them, and they were shit. Best, LeSure.
Best
You know?
concussions.
Can we go back to
Was
Kevin
Best even-
Jones?
Was Best drafted with? Was
Dude, he had
part-
like 5 concussions.
No,
coming
I
out of
know.
College, Best did.
Out of Cal, right?
Yeah.
Did he was he here when Stafford was here though? I feel
Yeah, I
like he
think
was
so.
just before Stafford.
No, I think he was.
Okay. And he on paper was going to be great, and then he just quit because of the concussions. You know, he got hit once, got concussed, and then was done. You know, it happens. But Matt Stafford is not your problem. Like, he has brought absolute stability to a position that has lacked stability for 20 years in this franchise. At least 20 years, 30 years, whatever. We haven't had an elite player at that position in our lifetime. I mean, who? Gary Danielson?
Dude,
who do you go
was,
back to?
It was so hard. I remember watching as a kid and just like, holy shit, man! They completed a long pass. That was amazing, and like getting off on that. Now it's just, you know, they're just. I know the league has changed a lot.
Yeah,
but man, so quickly you forget the shit we had for so many years. And part of Kyle's point is, so what? So we haven't had shit here in so many years, but don't make this guy, don't elevate him to the Hall of Fame. And that's a fair point.
It is a fair point.
He's got to do a lot more.
I get what he's saying, but I don't think Matt Stafford has been. Talk about, like, he doesn't bitch about his teammates. He doesn't go on social media. He's never a problem. Never. You know, you could bitch about him on the field. His wife might fight back with you, but he won't. He's just a model citizen, nice guy with a rocket for an arm and has been durable as shit. And are you honestly telling me, be honest with yourself, if you put him on the Patriots, you put him on the Packers, you put him on with an elite team with proper coaching and ownership, do you honestly think Matt Stafford would be the reason you can't go to a Super Bowl?
Right.
Really?
Right.
That's a lie.
I think
That's
at
bullshit.
the core of a lot of people bitching about him is just the money. And it is what it is. It's the market. The market is such that NFL quarterbacks are paid a fucking
If we went to pay him,
shitload.
someone else would have. And then who would we have? Who would we have?
Matt Castle.
Yeah, exactly. Matt Castle.
Riddick or whatever.
Yeah, and Jake Rudock.
Rudock, sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Mike,
Enough said.
Save the rest for tomorrow.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. E, are you going to do history for us tomorrow?
Sure.
Should we tell the people our plan kind of for this week so there's no surprises?
Sure.
I mean, everybody knows that Miguel's going out to the Anthony Cumia show.
well,
Unbelievable. Oh, my God. We're going to have to talk about that.
I'm already handing out resumes.
We're going to have to...
Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. If they offer me a job,
Yeah.
I'm not even coming back.
Oh,
like,
I don't blame
honestly, like it's done.
Yeah.
So
What am I going to tell my mom? You going to call my mom and tell her that?
I'll have Douglas come in, sell the house for you,
There you
forward
go.
you the proceeds, and we'll be
I don't
done
mean to
with
be
it.
a
We'll
dick
just wrap
about
it
it.
up. We'll wrap it up.
I don't mean to
Put
be
a
a dick.
bow on it. No problem.
But you know, I need you guys to understand that if Ant goes, dude, you're just too good. I need to
Gonna
hire
kick
you.
Landau out even? You're just going to boom.
I told
Who's
you
this
before.
guy?
I would light Lando's family on fire for
Right.
that opportunity.
Not you,
Literally
but-
in front of him.
Yeah.
In front of him.
Let's talk about this in member content.
Very good. All right. Have a good
Oh,
day. everybody.
wait.
What?
So
There
what
was a
are
reason
we
we were
doing for the
talking.
rest of the
Oh,
week?
I thought you
is
were wrapping it
you're
up.
You're going to New York.
Yeah, probably for good.
But we're going to do tomorrow's show, and then we're going to have a couple best ofs land.
Yeah.
Is that the deal? Okay.
That's the deal.
To account for Miguel being out there, and then
Yep.
we'll see you.
You guys were
next
lazy,
week.
wanted a couple days off, so I was like, fine. Take
I
it,
never get to
whatever.
pick when I get days off. That's what's crazy.
Isn't
about
that
this job.
sad? You own a business that has literally one other employee, and you don't get to pick.
I never pick.
Next
Just-
time,
just happens.
Well,
You
it's
pick.
seniority. Mike has seniority.
Have a great day, everybody.
You've been listening to the Detroit Cast with your hosts, Mike and Jay. From all of us at Radio for One Studios, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you, Detroit.